Welcome back to the channel. Today we're transforming this space with stunning engineered white oak flooring and custom white oak stair treads. From prep to final install, I'll walk you through each step so you can see how this timeless wood brings warmth, durability, and a modern style to your home. Let's get started. Well, we had hours of beautiful footage of this kitchen flooring install, and then boom, corrupted during the transfer. Completely gone. It's like it never happened, but it totally did. There was about 1.5 inches difference between the left and the right side of this room, so we had to wait for the gypsum to be poured. It took about 4 weeks before we could get back to this room. This white oak nosing was just a bit too thick or too tall. It's 3/4 and we needed 5/8 to match our engineered flooring. So a little trick that we do is we kind of double-sided tape and we put two pieces together. That way we can run it top and bottom so we can flatten out that surface on the top. White oak is like very dense, so it kicks up a ton of dust when you're putting it through a planer. So just be aware when you get done, you're going to look like this, and you'll just have to dust off everywhere. Doesn't happen when you have a wood shop, but when you're working out of a Connex, happens all the time. The track saw makes this easy when you don't have materials on time, and we had to kind of lay this floor before we had the nosing pieces. So we're cutting these back in pretty accurately actually with these track saws. I mean, sometimes you'll hit a nail or two, but it allows you to kind of catch up when the materials are delayed quite a bit. Making some stair cap here with some stock hardwood flooring that I planed down the same time as the nosing. Just kind of trimming up all the tongues and the grooves, making a square edge so we can put this on top of that stair wall. Alright, so we're going to add on this piece here. This is going to cover over right here, and then we're going to miter it down, flatten it out. It'll miter down there. And then our waterfall flooring is going to come across and then down onto that point. Making sure that these pieces just line up and that gap underneath is looking pretty good. I like to cut my miters, dry fit everything, make those micro adjustments. If you're uncomfortable with these type of cuts, I don't recommend making them if you haven't been using a table saw or a chop saw for a very long time. I mean, I've grown up using these tools my whole life, so these cuts are fairly simple for me. Measuring here so that we can notch out the nosing so that that stair cap will fit into that nosing piece quite well. We have to cut the bottom side out like that so that we can press it down so everything sits flat. Last check here before we start to apply our adhesive. So I put a generous amount of adhesive on the back side of this so we can stick it down there. We make sure we got wood glue on all of the joints. We're going to glue and nail these joints. Keep them pretty tight. I had to pull it apart there, so we're adding a little bit more glue and just kind of rubbing that into that miter. We're going to hand sand that just to make everything really smooth. After weeks of delays, we're finally back at these stairs and it's go time. The railing contractor was stuck in limbo and the client didn't want to wait any longer, so they gave us the green light to wrap up this first. We dove right in, sanding every nosing smooth, that flawless glass-like finish. A little tip is to just hold your finger along that orbital and kind of guide it along the edge so it doesn't go over onto that engineered flooring. White oak having a lot of soft and hard grains, you will run into some issues where the grain will pop out or you'll have a knot hole break or just part of that part might be lower than the other. So you gotta use a little bit of wood filler, kind of patch it in and then start to sand it back down. Want to start at the top of the stairs and work your way down, filling the holes and sanding everything, rolling that edge. Making sure that everything is smooth. We finish out this at about 120 grit. The handrail is going to come down here. This wants to be a waterfall edge, but we have a piece of nosing and then we have a newel post that's going to come here. So we have a very awkward detail. So we're going to have to cut this nosing edge here on a 45, kind of like this one. And we'll cut this and then come down right here. And then we're going to have a waterfall right there, which and then they'll have to come back in and cut out wherever that newel post is going to go. So usually it's done the other way, where the rail guy puts it in, and then I would kind of put my flooring around everything. Makes it a little easier. So challenging for both sides. Me, I gotta kind of guess where everything's gonna be, and then the rail guy's gotta cut out. That's what happens. Is sometimes they don't want the wood in the house anymore, so they bring it outside. So we might have a little shrinkage when we put this in. Nobody wants a little shrinkage.
I thought that just happened when you got cold, man.
The water was cold, man. Starting to mark up this board for the notch to go around where that stair cap runs down into that waterfall edge. We start with 2 marks, make a straight parallel one. We're going to cut the flat parts first with the table saw. I'm going to start to cut the other side using the chop saw like this. And then we're going to use a multi-tool to get in between there to cut out the smaller notch. It's kind of like a multi-level notch. As you can see here, it has a slight indentation of about 1/8 of an inch going into it. So you can use a jigsaw, but the jigsaw usually has a kind of a wobbly edge when you're cutting something like this. So I actually like to use the multi-tool a little bit more than the jigsaw when we're running through these type of notch cuts. Putting it in one last time here to see how the dry fit's gonna go, making sure everything's pretty tight, pretty snug. I can put all these boards together. I do it this way, that way I'm not messing or fighting with the glue the entire time that I'm trying to get a piece in, or if that piece is a little too big, I gotta pull it out and there's glue everywhere. There's kind of a dry fit of what a waterfall edge is. So that grain just continues to flow down. I want to put a very generous amount of glue on these landings because they just have a very high foot traffic, and then once I get that in, I like to hammer my nosing in from the side because they have that tile corner there and I just don't want to chip it out at all. Past that buttery gold. I'm going to butter up this board here for the miter. Miters are in place now, so we're going to put the last little piece of the waterfall edge in here, and then we're going to start to secure those with a few, just 23 gauge. We don't want to put a big nail in these. We're just trying to hold that miter tight together. Just wrapping up these last few pieces. Nothing like a quick job that seems to take forever. Trying to cut a board at an angle or a taper so that one end is narrower than the other. Because the cut isn't perfectly parallel to the edge of the board, you can't use a rip bench. It's only meant for straight cuts, so you have to kind of freehand it on these last cuts because very rarely is the wall ever straight. So I just want to make sure that everybody is fully aware that I am a professional and I can cut this taper very quickly. To make it look easy. So before I started going out on my own, I used to have to color match a lot. I used to have to fix a bunch of hardwood floor jobs. We were doing so much volume that there was always mistakes kind of being made. So I got really good at being able to match colors. Hey, we're all done. Check it out. We installed some stairs, a little waterfall landing, got our nosings all finished, floor all done. What do you guys think? Kind of like it? I like it. I like natural white oak. I think it's beautiful. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content.